This saddle perplexes me. Ergonomically, it just doesn't make any sense. I have a lot of concerns about the design of this seat, so of course, I'll have to test it for myself. I'm not referring to this brand or model per se. I'm talking about this wave shape with a tilt-up back end and an eagle beak nose at the front. The wave-shaped design and construction of this saddle screams traditional Italian. While I respect the history and the traditions of any sport, equipment choice has to make sense for me to embrace it, and I'm not sure this does. This is a Sella SMP geometric saddle, and by comparison to many others, this shape has been around for quite a few years. I'm not sure how this design originated, but I can see similarities between some curves found in nature and also some curves found elsewhere in Italian culture. While this saddle has a wave or an S shape to it, most of the chairs that we sit on have a flat seat pan. This allows for an even spread of pressure throughout the contact patch made by our butt and thighs against the seat. It allows us to easily slide forwards and backwards on the seat, and it allows the pelvis to roll. So we can either sit up tall, slouch back, or even roll forwards in relative comfort. So a standard seat gives us good support throughout our choice of different positions. The geometric wave saddle presents a very different proposition. I've read various explanations as to the benefits of this shape, who it's most suitable for. However, I'm not convinced. If you are riding a time trial or some other steady state effort, then being relatively locked into a certain pedaling position makes sense. However, for most road or trail cyclists, it's preferable to change positions regularly. In office ergonomics, the old mantra used to be sit up straight, and a whole industry developed around helping workers to achieve this. However, the modern take on this is the best position is the next position, which just means change position regularly. Changing position on a chair and moving around promotes blood flow, helps oxygenation of muscles and other tissues, helps to reduce joint stiffness, and it's also a mental stimulus. On a road bike, we are limited to a choice of 3 main positions, which is hands on the hoods, hands in the drops, and hands on the bar tops. The position of the hands on the handlebars has a flow-on effect to the position of the torso, and therefore the position and angle of the pelvis. Let's say you get yourself comfortable on this saddle with your hands in the drops, and then you move your hands to either the hoods or the bar tops. Or you might be already on the hoods and you just change to the bar tops. Your shoulders will lift and your pelvis will roll backwards. On this saddle, that means that your pelvis will have to roll up the hill and then it will be perched on a steep downhill slope. You'll then be either fighting gravity to stay put, or you will need to lift and slide forwards to a new position where the seat is flatter. Which brings me to my next point. What angle do you set this saddle up on? A normal flat saddle will normally be set up with a downward slope of between 0 to 2 degrees. Yes, there are outliers to this, and I've seen some pretty wild saddle angles come in through my Bike Fit studio, but 0 to 2 degrees is the norm. So how does this relate to a saddle with so much angular offset between the rear and the middle sections? Do you simply place the level from the rear high point to the front high point and make that horizontal? If so, you'll be sitting in a bowl, and any attempt to roll the pelvis forwards to get down lower on the bike is going to increase the pressure substantially in that front pubic region. With this setup, the front of the saddle really angles up, and I would never position a normal flat saddle with that degree of upward nose tilt. Alternatively, do you position the saddle so that the middle section is horizontal, which will exaggerate the rolling up the hill issue that I mentioned earlier, and probably means you'll feel a degree of downward sliding for most of your ride anyway. This SMP geometric saddle model has a huge cutout section in it. I've made a previous video about saddle design and the reasons for the cutout channel. You can check that out here. Essentially, it is to reduce the compression of the pudendal blood vessels and nerves. However, I'm worried in this case they have removed too much from the center of the saddle, which means the weight of the upper body will be focused on a much smaller area and create discomfort at those remaining contact patches. There is also quite a sudden rectangular edge at the border of the cutout, which might cause compression irritation. The beak. What is the point of the beak-shaped nose? In researching about this saddle, they talk about lowering the nose so there is less pressure in that front pubic region. However, unless you are sitting very far forwards on your saddle, the nose tip is going to protrude much further forwards than you do. I think having the dropped saddle nose might provide a little bit more stability when cornering because it gives your thighs some more surface area to push against. But I really don't see any other great benefit. In defense of this saddle design, Seller SMP have 2 research articles featured on their website, which demonstrate the benefit of this saddle to genital health, specifically improving blood flow and oxygenation to the genital area for male riders. And for women, the research showed an improvement in genital blood flow, oxygen perfusion, and over a 6-month period, a significant reduction in female sexual distress score, which means that the negative consequences of cycling and saddle pressure on female sexual function was vastly improved with this geometric saddle design. If you are a follower of my channel, you'll know that I've made several previous videos testing and proving the benefits of cycling with shorter cranks. In my case, going from 175mm cranks to 160. I've also tested on myself the many purported cures for exercise-induced muscle cramps. Likewise here, I'm going to test this geometric saddle for myself. I have 2 road bikes at the moment. First is a Specialized Tarmac SL7, which came with a flat, short-nosed power saddle. And I also have a Specialized Athos, which came with the exact same saddle. I'm going to put this Seller SMP geometric saddle on my Tarmac and run some comparisons against my usual saddle. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to be comfortable on the SMP saddle. So I'll admit to having some expectation bias, but I'll do my best to avoid these preconceptions clouding my feedback. I'll aim to have some more videos on this saddle published over the next few weeks.
I like the cut of your jib.
If you like the cut of my jib, please subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up and click the notifications bell so you can find out when I've released new content. Your encouragement and support really means a great deal to me, and it helps me get this channel to the next level.